Hey there, welcome back. And here we have with the usual motion sickness alert. There we are. Yeah, welcome back. This isn't a video of any great consequence. I just realized I hadn't shot a video or posted a video for a while, and I'm engaged on a different sort of project, a different sort of alteration. This is a kilted skirt in the Air Force tartan, which was brought to me some time ago. I finally worked my way down my inbox to start on it. Now, this lady had received or gotten this kilt. I'm not sure if she bought it or she was given it, whatever. She'd had it for quite some time. It no longer fits. So I've decided, having taken her measurements, I've decided I have to completely take it apart, which I've done. Unpicked all the seams, pressed it flat. Now it's dry. Now I'm ready to start. And because it is a kilted skirt, but because I am at heart an army kilt maker, I'm applying the precedent of my own experience. I'm resewing this not to be to appear exactly as it did, but to be a little bit closer to my own sense of style, shall we say. So with a 37 waist and a 48 hip, I'm going to follow my usual self-imposed rule that the width of the apron, the relationship between the apron and the pleats at the hip is 50-50, so 24 inches for each. So I have laid out the cloth and I've reversed it inside out. It was, it had been a reverse, shall we say, because it was a tartan skirt. The outside edge of the outer apron was on the left, whereas a kilt is on the right. I'm sewing it so that the edge of the outside apron is going to be on the right, because that's just how I've always done it. I'm also reversing the cloth because it's not it's in really good condition, but there's a little bit of fading. I don't really see any example of staining or anything else, but I'm reversing the cloth and I'm sewing from the inside. Fortunately, when this was made, they didn't cut out the back at all to thin it. So I've basically, I've got much more latitude. Originally, the kilt was pleated to this middle red stripe, and I'm going to do that again. I'm not going to pleat it to the set. Part of it is, I'm not going to make things too hard for myself because this is rather a busy tartan. So I've laid out the aprons at waist and hip. And remember, because this is fitted for a lady's figure, for a man's figure, once again, if that's the hip and this is the waist on a man's figure, the kilt is tapered, the pleats are tapered all the way to where the strap and buckle shall be. In a man, it's 2.5 inches. With her, I'm bringing it up a bit. It's a little under 2 inches. What have I got it at here? 1.75 inches. So in a man, the pleat tapers uniformly to the strap and buckle, and then it goes parallel from there. But with a lady, the taper is continuous from the bottom to the top. Yeah. Now I've laid out the aprons. I've determined, I'm giving it a generous, there's the edge of the inside apron. I'm giving it a generous apron pleat, as I always do, because I really don't think there's anything to be gained by going with a very, very shallow apron pleat. The deeper pleat drapes better, as I've said before. It moves better when you walk. So it's a little over a third of the total width, but that's how it'll be. Now, so the next stage, I've counted the number of pleats. We have a maximum number of 18. Now, if this was a military kilt, or if it was actually a kilt as opposed to a kilted skirt, I would drop down, because I always want to have an odd number of pleats so that we have a center back pleat. But I'm throwing that rule out this time. I'm not willing, because this is only 6 and a bit yards long. It's not a full 8 yards. I don't want to sacrifice that cloth, and I'm definitely not cutting cloth off of this. So I'm going to go with the 18 pleats, but then looking at my pleat chart, which many of you have. I hope you've done it for yourself and not just copied mine, because again, it's really important you know the core principles. Yeah. Of course, my pleat chart only goes down to 19 inches, so I have to calculate pleats again. So putting that to one side, 18 pleats, and I'm starting at 1/8. Now, I'm certainly not going to be sewing pleats a 1/8 wide, but generally I never sew them narrower than 3/8, but as fine as I can manage. But I've started at 1/8, and I've gone up to 1.5 inches. So 18, of course, 1/2. 18 pleats, each 1/2 inches wide, gives us 9 inches. 18 times 1 is 18 pleats, 18 inches long. So I'm going to fill in the rest of this. So 5/8. And yes, I've done this before, but repetition, again, is one of the principles of instruction, principles of learning, one of the two. So 9. So now I'm going to count 18/8. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. Okay, so if I have a pleat that's 5 inches wide, and I've got 18 of them, you'll be covering 11 1/4. 11 1/4. Okay, 3/4. Well, there's 9. Let's count by halves, or let's count by quarters this time. So 9. 1, 2, 3, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 3/4 is going to be 13 1/2. 7/8, well, 13 1/2 plus 18 times 1/8. So I'll count them in twos again. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 15 3/4. 15 3/4. Now looking at my pleat width, what am I going to have? It's going to be 14 at the waist, 24 at the seat. Okay, well the closest I've got is, for 18 pleats, is either 13 1/2 or 15 3/4. 15 3/4 is too much. 13 1/2, let's add 16ths. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 14 1/2 for 11/16. That's close enough. So 11/16 will be it. 11/16. Cool. Now for a 24-inch seat, well, 1/8. Where did I have it? At 1 inch. Let's go to we'll just build up to it. So 1 1/8 inch wide pleat. So let's count 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20 1/4. 20 1/4, not enough. Okay. 1 1/4, so we'll count by quarters this time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 22 1/2. Let's count by, say, to 1 3/8. Let's just count by eighths now. 22 1/2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. That's 24 3/4. Now I'm doing this live and unrehearsed, so I'm going to go back and check these numbers just in case I've dropped the ball in front of you. Okay, so between 22 1/2 and 22 3/4, let's go back to 22 1/2 and add 16ths. So we'll count by twos. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 23 5/8. Right there. 23 5/8. I kind of like that. So let's mark this at the hip as 1 1/4 plus, and the plus indicates that we're adding a 16th. Okay, cool. Right, so there we are. So I'm going to carry on pretty much as before with my previous ones, where I mark the first and second pleats, mark the buttonhole, and then carry on and mark across the rest, and then start sewing. I may have to stop in at the cloth shop today. I'm going to go through my threads to see, because I'm going to be sewing. I'm pleating to that red stripe, so I'm going to be sewing with that very dark blue. I might have a very, very dark blue thread, and black will probably work as well, but I'm going to test my threads to this. I'll do a couple of sample seams with different colored thread and see what the best match is, where the best contrast is, because ideally the thread will be invisible. So, okay, I'm going to leave you with that. And I'm going to get back to it because today's the 3rd. She's coming here on the 8th, and I want to be able to do a final fitting, and because she's coming from out of town, I have to do a final fitting so that she can leave with her kilted skirt at the end of the session. Cool. Okay. Once again, motion sickness time.